Hey folks, Steven here and welcome into TK Power Sports. We knew it was coming, but today is the day. Kawasaki has officially revealed the two-seat Teryx H2, plus some new special editions for the Ridge, and I'm going to tell you all about them. When Kawasaki first revealed the Teryx 4 and 5 H2 models, you could only get them with 4 doors, so everyone pretty much knew that in the future we would get the 2-door model, and it only took them 1 year to reveal it. So let's start with a size comparison so you understand how these two models compare. So the new Teryx H2, and let me also just clarify, that's the name. It's just Teryx H2, and then the bigger models are the Teryx 4 H2 and the Teryx 5 H2. So the Teryx H2 has a wheelbase of 101 inches, an overall length of 134.1 inches, a width at 74 inches, and a height at 71.5 inches. And so comparing them, the Teryx 4 H2 has a wheelbase that is 25 inches longer at 126 inches, and then the overall length is also over 20 inches longer at 159.4 inches. So yeah, basically that 20 inches, that's the difference between the 2-seat model and the big 4-seat models, and that's going to make a significant difference in handling out there on the trail. The other big difference is weight. The new Teryx H2 has a dry weight of 2,073 pounds in standard trim, and then if you step up to the limited model, it does go up to 2,154 pounds, but the Teryx 4 H2 Deluxe has a dry weight of 2,361 pounds, so that's between 200 and 300 pounds that have been shaved off for this smaller model as well. Outside of the overall dimensions here, there's also a lot that has remained the same, like the powertrain. So the Teryx H2 uses a 4-stroke inline 4-cylinder supercharged engine. It's 999 cc's and it makes 250 horsepower and 146.2 pound-feet of torque sent through a continuously variable transmission, and that has not changed. Things like the drive modes are still present here as well. Things like full, mid, and low power mode, the on-the-fly selectable 4-wheel drive and front differential lock, that stuff is all the same, but there are some new noteworthy features. The first one I want to tell you about is Kawasaki traction control. This is the first time on a Kawasaki side-by-side that they've added traction control, and I will read right from the press release. Kawasaki says that its traction control system manages rear-wheel traction by suppressing sudden spikes in engine speed, delivering enhanced control to match the considerable power of the Teryx H2. Now you also have to know that its traction control system only works when the vehicle is in 2-wheel drive. And essentially it sounds like it's just smoothing out some of those sharp inputs. So if you're mid-corner and you really hit the throttle, you won't get that full power, spin the wheels, and then, resulting in oversteer. It'll try to smooth that out for you, which I'm very curious to try out for myself. Now the traction control system also has 3 different modes. You have mode 1, which says it reduces power to 55% during intervention, and then mode 2, which limits power back to 30% when it intervenes, and then the third mode is fully off. So yes, if you don't want this, you can just shut it off and never think about it, but then you can also try the different modes and see which one feels the best. And then once again, I'll remind you, this only works when it's in 2-wheel drive. Once you switch to 4-wheel drive, you won't get that same traction control system. Now let's talk suspension, and some of this hasn't changed, but there's one new notable feature. So on the base model Teryx H2, you're going to be getting Fox 3.0 internal bypass shocks. It's a double wishbone setup in the front that offers 23.2 inches of travel, same as it was before, and it is a 4-link trailing arm suspension setup in the back, offering 24 inches of travel, also the same as it was before. Now, if you step up to the next model, which is the Teryx H2 Limited ES, you're then going to get the Kawasaki electronic control suspension plus the e-sway bar, and that's the new part of this. Kawasaki already had the adaptive damping on the previous model, but it didn't have an electronically controlled sway bar, which the new model does. So if you step up to that limited model, you're getting Fox 3.0 live valve shocks, and the live valves are key because they're able to adjust their damping forces on the fly. First, you can set the drive mode inside of your Teryx, and that will change the suspension, and then the suspension will also be monitoring what is going on around it. But again, the new part of this is that the sway bar can also now adjust its forces. So essentially, that is going to mean you can stay more upright through a corner, really dial out that body roll, or allow the vehicle to roll more, or fully disconnect the sway bar and allow for maximum articulation for rock climbing. Again, this is more of a best of all worlds system that should allow you to have sharp handling when you want it, but then to have that really loose suspension when you're climbing over uneven terrain. Kawasaki actually lists all the different parameters that the ECU is looking at to control the active suspension system, so I thought I would read them out to you. So it's looking at the roll, the pitch, the yaw, and a multi-axis acceleration sensor. Plus, it's looking at vehicle speed, gear position, and throttle position, along with the steering angle sensor. So it's taking all of that data in real time, crunching it, and then trying to give you the best possible suspension settings. And that just means you have so many selectable systems here. So you can have the suspension in firm, sport, or comfort. You can, of course, have the drivetrain in two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or four-wheel drive with the diff lock. And then you can also set up that Kawasaki traction control in either mode 1, mode 2, or off. So yes, you can truly play around now with the Teryx H2 in a lot of different ways and set it up for the exact style of riding that you want. That's basically all of the new stuff that has arrived for Teryx H2, but still I want to go through all of the other important features. So this thing offers 16.1 inches of ground clearance, thanks in part to 33-inch Maxxis Carnivore tires wrapped around 16-inch wheels. You're also getting electric power steering here, which is variable, so it will adjust itself, again, based on what you're doing. At super slow speeds in a parking lot, let's say the boost is going to go way up, so you can turn that wheel, and then when you're out there on the trail, it won't damp quite as much to give you more feeling in your hands, but also enough to try to dial out some of those hard hits. Looking inside, things are very similar to what we've seen from the Teryx 4 and H5. Kawasaki does say in its release that they went out of their way to make sure that leg, knee, and shoulder room were kept in mind, allowing two full-size adults to sit side by side in this thing. And I can say just from experience with the Teryx 5 H2, it is quite roomy inside, so as long as it's that big, no problem for two wide-body adults to sit in there. And then you've probably noticed too, there is some styling differences from the standard model and the limited ES. They're on the exterior, there's different paint options, and then on the interior, there's a slight difference between the two as well. And in all cases, of course, the limited ES is supposed to feel a little bit more premium. The other thing that comes along standard with the limited ES model is a 10-inch Garmin Tread infotainment system, which is built directly into the center stack. And finally, what is it going to cost? Well, the 2027 Teryx H2 is going to have a base MSRP of $32,899 US, and that is about $5,000 cheaper than the current most affordable Teryx 4 H2. So this is now going to be the cheapest way to get into one of these Teryx models. If you step up to the two-seat Teryx H2 Limited ES, that thing has an MSRP of $41,399 US. And for the Canadian folks, I didn't get Canadian pricing before we filmed this video, but once I do, I'll drop it down there in a pinned comment. That's it for the Teryx H2, besides saying that I cannot wait to get my hands on that thing because the four-seater was honestly a blast. The power is ridiculous. This thing makes the coolest supercharger noises, and now that you're getting it with that shorty wheelbase, it should just make the handling and the overall drive feel that much more fun. So yes, I cannot wait to test out that new Teryx H2. But now, let's move on to the Kawasaki Ridge, and there's no major updates for the Ridge. Again, drivetrain, all of the basics stay the same, but there are two new special edition models that I want to tell you about. First up, let me tell you about the Kawasaki Ridge Crew Platinum Sport HVAC, and as the name suggests, this is a lot of the best off-road hardware that Kawasaki has for the Ridge, combined with most of the luxurious features that they have. So if you go for this model, you're getting things like arched A-arms, you're getting front and rear stabilizer bars. Not all Ridge models get stabilizer bars in the front and the back, but this one does. You're also getting an upgraded set of KYB shock absorbers with piggyback reservoirs. And now the wheel travel is the same. It's 12.7 inches in the front and the rear, but you are getting those upgraded shocks. You're also getting upgraded tires and wheels, a set of 30-inch Maxxis Carnivore tires wrapped around bronze 14-inch aluminum wheels. Now, other upgrades include a 4,500-pound winch, front bumper with a brush guard, a flip-up windshield, built-in front and rear view cameras, an 8-inch Garmin tread system, and DC outlets, USB ports, and cup holders. So again, you're getting some of the off-road stuff like the shocks and the tires, but then you're getting some of the more luxurious stuff like the Garmin tread system and all of those plugs inside, plus the tip-up front windshield. And although you've already seen it, I should mention there's special colors and graphics that come on this Ridge Crew Platinum Sport as well. The metallic matte twilight blue colorway features silver line graphics to make sure you know this is a unique model in the lineup. That's it for Platinum Sport. Now we have to talk about this thing, the Ridge Lifted Edition. The Lifted Edition, which can be had on either the Ridge or the Ridge Crew, is all about getting out there into the mud, so all of the upgrades are really mud specific. So if you go for the Ridge Lifted Edition, you're getting a set of 30-inch ITP cryptid mud tires with 14-inch aluminum wheels. You're getting an elevated triple snorkel with air intakes for your CVT and the exhaust, so everything's nice and high, so if you're down in deep mud and water, you don't have to worry about anything. The Lifted Edition also gets KYB shocks with piggyback reservoirs, high clearance arched A-arms. It's getting HDPE underbody guards with specific drain holes, once again meant for the water. So if you're deep, all that water is going to rush back out when you come out of it. You're getting a 4,500-pound winch here, plus those DC outlets, USB ports, and cup holders that were in the other model. But yes, nice to have all of those mud-specific features now for the Ridge. And yes, as the name suggests, the Ridge Lifted Edition does get more ground clearance, but only the two-door Ridge. If you go for the Ridge Crew, the clearance remains the same, but on the two-door Ridge, you're going to get 14.2 inches of standard clearance and then 14.6 inches at maximum preload, which is up from 13.4 inches and 14.4 on standard Ridge models. There's two other changes I have to note, but these have come to all Kawasaki Ridge models, not just these special editions. Kawasaki says that they have adjusted the CVT for 2027. They say that this will further reduce engine RPM during the medium and higher speed ranges commonly used when traveling between work sites. Basically, they're saying that yes, at high speeds, the CVT should be a little bit quieter and the engine should be a little bit quieter because that was a problem with the Ridge. And then the next thing is that the rear end has kind of changed its styling up, so the box sides have changed their styling. Kawasaki says they've raised and extended the fender flares in the rear arches as well, and this all just comes together to give you a different rear end look. Plus, a new three-dimensional tailgate with an embossed Kawasaki logo has been added as well. Now, I haven't even mentioned the engine yet, but that's because it has not changed. Powering the Ridge is still a 999cc inline four-cylinder, making 116 horsepower and 73.8 pound-feet of torque. And finally, you need to know what it costs. Well, first, let me tell you that the base 2027 Kawasaki Ridge costs $21,599, while the base Ridge Crew model costs $23,599. Now, if you go for the two-seat Kawasaki Ridge Lifted Edition, that's going to cost you $25,999, while the Ridge Crew Lifted Edition is $28,799. Finally, the Kawasaki Ridge Crew Platinum Sport HVAC will sell for $39,999, and that does make it the most expensive Kawasaki Ridge in the lineup. Oh, and for availability, Kawasaki says that all of these 2027 models should land in late summer or early fall of 2026. And with that, folks, we are coming to the end of this one. This is a move I think everyone saw coming, that Kawasaki was going to release this two-door version of the H2. And then the Ridge stuff, I mean, it's nice that they're adding these new special edition models, and nice that they keep on subtly updating the Ridge year after year based on consumer feedback. So it definitely feels like Kawasaki is listening to their customers and trying to give them what they want. And yeah, folks, that's the end of this one. Now, of course, we need to hear from you. Why don't you drop in the comments, let me know what you think of this Teryx H2 and those new Ridge Special Edition models. While you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member. And hey, if you're watching on your phone, hit that hype button. It does help us out. And then make sure you come right back here to the channel and see what we're testing next.